Now, y'all know me. I don't want to make any waves or cause any problems or ruffle any feathers. Psych. So today we're going to be talking about how Arkansas decided that they were going to build another prison because, after all, they're struggling with overcrowding, and the right answer is to build another prison, right?
What?
No. I'm going to break all of that down for you guys today. But if you are new here, hi, my name is Jess. I'm a person in long-term recovery who has in fact been to prison.
Ta-da!
In Arkansas. It's not a flex, just a fact. If you want to follow me on any other social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, that's $2. It's only ever going to be $2. All of that is linked down below, as well as my vlog channel, my podcast, all of the things, including new merch, all kinds of stuff. Oh, and my new channel. So check out that description box. Without further ado, let's kick this thing off. Okay, so where do we even begin? That is a very weak drink because it's water. So the Arkansas Board of Corrections had a meeting about a new prison that will be built. This is not a proposal, this is happening.
And Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders announcing the state's purchase of land in northwest Arkansas to build a new state prison.
This prison is going to be built in, Franklin County near Charleston. And in this article that I saw pop up, it says that local officials were blindsided by this. They were just in shock and awe and just blindsided. They had no idea it was happening. And they're just hearing about it now for the very first time. Except that's not true. I've known about this for over a year, and I am no one. I got wind of this from law enforcement, from my friend Megan, who is in Arkansas and has a lot of people, a lot of friends that work in and out of jails and prisons down there. She's volunteered for prisons. This is not news. We knew that this was happening. So if any local official tells any of you Arkansans that they had no idea, they're full of shit. Except maybe this guy, the justice of the peace, he didn't know. He means it. He's doubling down. So maybe that guy didn't know. Everyone else knew. So the proposed site for this new prison is about 40 miles from Fort Smith, Arkansas, which ironically is where I was arrested. Fort Smith, Arkansas has a lot of issues. A lot of towns across the state have issues with drug addiction, just like every other, state in America. But the unique problem that Arkansas has is Interstate 540, which runs from it's a main route for cartels. And it's not uncommon to have people moving large amounts of drugs into and through Fort Smith. Now, the Arkansas Board of Corrections does have to vote before this can happen, but they already bought the land. They bought 815 acres for a whopping $2.9 million. So this is a quote from the governor's office. They're quoted in saying, the governor's office believes that the state is short of 3,000 prison beds, and it would cost $30 million to continue to house them in county jails, which kind of is the reason why they want to build another prison, is because of overcrowding. Arkansas leads the country. They're in the top 3 of states that incarcerate more citizens than other areas. Now, does that mean Arkansas has this crazy crime problem that other states do not have? No. It means Arkansas is kind of messing up when it comes to incarcerating people. They have very long sentences for drugs. And in Arkansas, if one person has drugs and there's 4 people in the car, guess what? All y'all are going. 4 people are going to jail. And it just doesn't even make sense. Okay, according to the Prison Policy Initiative, Arkansas has an incarceration rate of 912 per 100,000 people, which is higher than the United States at 614 on average. And it's higher than 2 countries, the UK and Portugal combined. That's how many more citizens are being incarcerated in the state of Arkansas alone. Come on vacation, leave on probation. I'm sure y'all have heard that, right? It's true. It's literally true. I was supposed to be in Arkansas for 2 weeks. Yeah, they got me for years. If you don't know my story, I was an addict and a dealer and just a really crappy person. And in 2011, I was arrested for possession with intent to deliver, simultaneous possession of drugs and a firearm, and delivery of methamphetamine. I was sentenced to 5 years under the 50% law, Because Arkansas's overcrowding is so bad, they implemented something called an EPA, or Emergency Powers Act, which allows people to get out up to 90 days early. You know, it's not this catch and release situation that Sarah Huckabee Sanders claims that it is. That was like something that she ran on. She's like, we're going to get away with this catch and release thing, this crazy catch and release where we arrest criminals and we just release them. They don't do that. That has literally never happened. And I don't see Arkansas even having a bail reform law or any of that. So what she was referring to and grossly miscategorized is the EPA, which is the Emergency Powers Act. And it's only because jails are so overcrowded. So if you have a facility that cannot house more people, they take the nonviolent offenders that have made parole, have parole plans, and that are very close to the door, up to 90 days. They're not getting out any earlier than that. And this helps them reduce overcrowding. And let me tell y'all, it is so freaking crowded in these county jails and prisons. In county jail alone, I served, almost 6 months of my pregnancy in a county jail in Fort Smith, Arkansas. You would have girls sleeping on the floor, and in a 2-man cell, there would be 4 of us there. And a lot of the times we couldn't get to the top bunk. Like, I was pregnant, so I wasn't allowed to be on the top bunk, or someone would have a medical issue and they couldn't get to the top bunk. So there would be 4 women sleeping on the bottom bunk and then 3 on the floor. It happened all the time. Trust me when I say these jails are that overcrowded, it's crazy. And I think that, we don't get a lot of empathy when we're talking about this kind of thing because, you just shouldn't have broken the law. That solves nothing. Okay, so don't even try to spam my comment section with that. But Sarah Sanders specifically said, we are not doing the EPA. Instead, y'all ready for this? New prison. A new prison. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep building prisons. And unfortunately, there are so many issues with that because just allowing the EPA to happen and allow nonviolent offenders to get out just 90 days earlier would solve that. And it wouldn't cost the taxpayers anything, right? Just let them go. Another huge problem with them building yet another prison in Arkansas is they can't even staff the prisons that they have. Every single facility in the state of Arkansas is about 60% staffed. They can't even keep fucking staff members. The Justice of the Peace in Arkansas, he's like, oh my God, who wants a prison in their backyard? Bro, this is America, okay? We have so many prisons, it's insane. We incarcerate more citizens per capita than any other nation in the world. So our backyard, every American's backyard has a fucking prison in it. In the state of Colorado, there's about 30 prisons. It's wild to me. Every state has tons of prisons. How many does Arkansas have? Let's just look that up. Prisons and jails. I feel like he's just upset over the property value in his house. Maybe it could be reduced. Who wants a prison in their backyard? Stop it. Arkansas has 20 state prison facilities and 41 jails in 75 counties. Okay, so shut up. Your entire backyard is a prison. What I find very interesting about the governor of Arkansas is that she was just seen with Jelly Roll. She left her office at the Capitol building and went to the men's unit at RPF, and she got to meet Jelly Roll and take a picture with him. And she said, "We're such huge fans, Mr. Roll." How anyone could say that they're a fan of Jelly and know his story and know the impact that he's made and know, how much he actually cares about helping people incarcerated. And then the entire time she's been working for at least a year that I know of to build another prison instead of just allowing ADC to release inmates who are nonviolent 90 days early. That would solve the overcrowding issue. But why would she want to do that, right? And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but I don't think that you're a fan of Jelly Roll, ma'am. Maybe Jelly Space Roll. Remember the jazz band that sued him for $1 million? Maybe you're the only person on the planet that confused those two people, right? Because this is absolutely the fuck not. Can we not claim her into our fucked up family? As soon as I saw this picture of Sarah and her husband with Jelly, I thought, the irony of this. The irony of this is that she walked across the street. She left her office at the Capitol building, and then she went and she met Jelly and smiled and said, "I'm such a huge fan of yours." But what is ironic is that building, the Capitol building, was built by inmate slave labor. Between 1899 and 1915, that Capitol building was built by inmates that were at the penitentiary, and it cost a little under $1 million to do that. It's actually sitting on an old penitentiary site. That is where a state prison used to be, and they took it down and they used inmates to build the Capitol building, the very office that Sarah is sitting in. Between 1998 and 2001 in Arkansas, they all had for-profit prisons, and it was super unsafe, so they got rid of those. Kind of, not really. It was just rebranded. Now it's called the Geo Group. Let me tell you right now, Arkansas is still doing this. They still use inmates for labor. Arkansas is one of the only states in the country that have inmates work all day, compound jobs, running the prisons, and they don't pay them. They don't have to pay them. So the only way that you're going to make money as an inmate is if you are one of the few that get access to a work release program. More men get that program than women, but then again, there's more men incarcerated than women. Colorado pays inmates 97 cents an hour, which is like, that's a lot. That's a lot in comparison to other states. Oklahoma pays 8 cents per hour. Missouri pays 6 cents per hour. Louisiana, 3 cents per hour. In the federal system, inmates earn between 12 cents and 40 cents an hour. And I know for a fact in the federal system, they make things like uniforms, scrub uniforms, parts for the military, flags, license plates. All of this is done with slave labor, inmate slave labor. Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, South Carolina, Mississippi, and Texas, inmates are not paid at all. Nothing. They're paid nothing. We don't have slaves anymore. It's not even fair to say that this is slave labor, but it is. It is. So, you know, the 13th Amendment, it abolished slavery. Kind of. What the 13th Amendment did is it rebranded slavery. So we cannot use prison labor unless they're in prison. Then we can exploit them all we want. There used to be a time where you could literally rent an inmate. This was way, way back. You could rent an inmate from the prison and like buy them. You know, you could like go to the prison and buy an inmate and they would just work for you, and then you would have to return them. Right? It sounds an awful lot like actual slavery. Arkansas is a very strange place, in my personal opinion. I was born and raised in upstate New York. I traveled the country my whole life. I went to prison in Arkansas, and I saw the wildest shit. Arkansas had something very similar to a chain gang when I was in prison there. The only thing they were lacking was the chain. We would have to be outside in our uniform with a gardening hoe, and we just have to chop the grass for hours. My hands were cut up and blistered. They didn't provide sunscreen. They didn't provide gloves or adequate working gear at all. It was awful. Some women really enjoyed it. They called it Hoe Squad, but then they changed it to Field Squad because they're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be calling it Hoe Squad. Whatever you want to call it, it is literally like chain gang, and there's no purpose behind it. We're just chopping grass. Like, you're just hurting us to hurt us. It's like for sport or something. And it was gross. Every inmate, if physically able, has to do that when they arrive at prison in Arkansas. I didn't have to at first because I was pregnant, but then after I had my daughter, I was kicked out of Wrightsville, sent back to McPherson as a class 4, which means I'm in trouble. And I had to be on Field Squad for, was it 90 days? Or something to earn my class back. Yeah, really stupid. Yeah, that is my rant for the day. I thought I would just let you guys know that if you are in Arkansas and politicians are like, oh my God, I had no idea that. Yes, they did. Because how the hell do I know what's happening and you don't, dude? They're lying. Also, Sarah Sanders, this is on brand for her. This is what she ran on. She was going to be tough on crime, and she was going to get rid of the catch and release, which is, again, is a gross misrepresentation of what it actually is. She does not care about inmates in Arkansas. She's not trying to do anything positive when it comes to helping the people that are in her state struggling the most. If you want to judge a leader or a culture, judge them by how they treat their weakest and their most vulnerable. Anyway, I'm going to end today's video here. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober, whatever that looks like to you. Building more prisons is not the freaking answer. And I will see you guys in my next one.